the talk of St. Louis.
Powered by STL Medical Weight Loss. See the Dr. Joe difference at stlmedweightloss.com.
All right, good morning. Welcome to the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. If you want to join us, the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. You can watch us on YouTube and on Facebook. Great guest list today. Sarah Fensky, executive editor, St. Louis Magazine, editor of the St. Louis Daily Newsletter. An interesting story out of Brentwood. They're going to turn down a business because of traffic. We'll tell you about that at 10:35. And then our friend Tariq Khan in the house. The movie Back to the Feature, or that's our segment, but the movie is Dog Day Afternoon. Al Pacino. You know how many times I've said it in a real corny fashion over the years when it's like dogs at the ballpark. My first shot is a cutaway the dog. It was a dog day afternoon. I've been using that phrase for like 30 years, and now we finally get to review the movie. Al Pacino at his finest.
Wow, it is. It kind of blew me away. I'm really interested to hear what listeners, what their recollections are, if they've watched the movie more recently, to be part of the discussion today. It was beyond what I thought it was going to be, to say the least. A lot of layers.
How about this? Because transgender stuff is in the news a lot more the last 2 or 3 years. And then for that movie to touch on that, or the possibility of a man becoming a woman, I mean, it's like, wow, they were talking about it way back then.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
It is definitely just a lot of, I mean, and the fact that it was based on a true story, I think, is the other aspect. So there will be spoiler alerts in the conversation, but I think it's.
I think when it's that old, we don't have to hold back.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it had to be so groundbreaking. I know Tariq, because he is an Academy Award aficionado, top expert on Academy Awards, probably in the United States. He can give us some historical context of just kind of like what we talked about with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's a disturbing movie, and both of them are in many ways to watch, but it's just so groundbreaking for movie making at that time, I think. And it would be today as well, honestly.
How about this? What actress or actor is more effective in letting it all hang out and kind of losing it? Attica! Or in Justice for All, you're out of order. The judge is not going to get so-and-so, I'm going to get him. He should go right to effing jail. Remember John Forsythe? I mean, who is better going crazy on the big screen? I mean, Jack Nicholson.
I was going to say, in A Few Good Men, the juxtaposition of being totally in control to completely losing his composure, I think that's why it makes it one of the greatest scenes in movie history.
Yeah. But can you think of an actor, though, just that loses it in a more effective fashion than Al Pacino?
Yeah,
gosh,
it's really it's a lot of passion and fun to see him at that age. So it was a good movie. Tariq is a good movie picker, and once again, he picked a good one. You guys are going to want to stick around for that conversation. How you been the last 24 hours?
Good. Speaking of age, though, for a second, I thought about this today. I always say this: the first sign of age is you don't recognize new music, or if you wear the square-toed New Balance and you're walking the mall at 6 a.m. Here's another one, is if you send out messages to people that you don't intend to send messages to people at a high percentage. I don't know if Howard Richards does this, but I just got this crazy message from, that wasn't for you. That may be the first one he's ever done in 20 years. But I'm wondering, I do it a little too often. You know.
Have you ever had one that was really embarrassing that the text went to the person that it was definitely not intended for?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't. I've had a few. I've gotten some. I mean, occasionally, even Mark Dorsey and I will get a group FaceTime from you, and I'm like, okay, I wonder what Frank wants to have a little confab about. Get kind of excited, think, we got breaking news here, and then and then nobody else is there. It's just a butt dial.
Yeah, and then the way you have to backtrack and come up with like a couple of like lies to, I didn't, oh my God. Like
when you accidentally call somebody or when you text. Yeah.
Well, like let's face it, if you have a boss and you have like friends that we all work together, we'll say, inevitably something negative about the boss. And I remember like texting with Trey Wingo about, we're going back and forth about how Mike is out of control and stuff. And then I actually sent it to Mike. And there was just no way I could come up with a lie to rationalize it. Oh my gosh.
And we're really lucky because we live in the day. If you have an iPhone, can you on your phone too? Can you now erase text,
Quickly.
Connor?
I don't think I can actually. I don't think they give me that opportunity.
You can't unsend it?
I don't think I can unsend.
Yeah.
I've got an Android. I don't know if I have that functionality.
Oh boy, the unsend has been helpful. Mine has been more like it was supposed to be a surprise. We're talking about the surprise gift in the family group text, and I accidentally sent it in the family group text instead of the one where John is missing. But then I delete it. I know he's not going to see it right away, so if it's deleted, then he won't
to
have
John,
seen it.
even?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, if it's about a gift that the girls and I are going
okay,
in on a
gotcha.
family text,
Yes.
but it does say Jill deleted a text, and but
I'm
he never
sure
asked.
one of our texters, Jill, has some hellacious story about sending it to the wrong person and got into big trouble. So, all right, why don't we break? We got a really good opening dialogue coming your way. Then Sarah Fensky at 10:35. If you'd like to be a part of the program, 84126 Royal Banks of Missouri text line.
Diana from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers here to remind you, we don't just offer the best pieces, we offer one of the last master hand engravers in our country. My father can create timeless, personal, and unforgettable pieces. Come by our showroom at the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or learn more online at wowdiamonds.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a Banner Day.
St. Louis Union Station is adding to the family fun with 3 new rides in the outdoor wheel park. The Flying Louie is a swashbuckling pirate-themed ride that swings to 42.5 feet. The Locomotion is a train-themed roller coaster in the wheel park. And the Wave Swinger is a classic swing ride modeled after the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. Plan your next visit to St. Louis Union Station to enjoy the new attractions with your family. For more info and tickets, go to stlouisunionstation.com.
The big beautiful tax bill just passed. Do you know how these changes will affect your financial plan? What changes has your financial advisor made to take advantage of these opportunities before they expire? Join me, Kevin Lloyd, for my next tax workshop, 314-641-1010. Learn how these changes can benefit you and your family. 314-641-1010.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPLA, registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.
Zero is your hero at HW Kia. Zero down, zero payments for 90 days, or 0% for 48 months. Even zero tariff pricing on every clearly marked new HW Kia in stock. Stuck in your loan or lease? Big D, the trade man, wants to get you released. Up to 120% over fair market value for your trade. Have a job clearing $450 a week? You're practically approved. Only at HWKia.com. On approved credit, not all qualify. Plus tax, title, license, 587, title, and registration process. Negative equity, refinancing, new loan. Expires September 6, 2025. Zero is your hero at HW Kia. Zero down, zero payments for 90 days, or 0% for 48 months. Even zero tariff pricing on every clearly marked new HW Kia in stock. Have a job clearing $450 a week? You're practically approved. Lease a new Seltos S, Nero LX, or Soul, just $99 a month. And you guessed it, zero security deposit. Only at HWKia.com. On approved credit, not all qualify. Plus tax, title, license, 587, title, and registration process. Negative equity, refinancing, new loan. 24 months, 10,000 mile lease. $49.95 due. Offers not a combination. Expires September 6, 2025.
You've seen the movies Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. Have you always wondered what it would be like to be a Top Gun instructor or pilot? Now is your chance at the National Museum of Transportation. On October 15th at 7 p.m., Captain Kevin Proton McLaughlin, United States Navy retired former commander of Top Gun and technical advisor to the movie Top Gun Maverick, will be the featured speaker. Tickets are $30. Reserve your spot now online at tnmot.org at the National Museum of Transportation.
I'm Bob Hardcastle. Listen to my Money Talk radio program every Sunday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. on the Big 550, where we discuss your money in an easy-to-understand manner. We have interesting guests, chat about money. We try to help you feel more comfortable with your money by talking about the investment market. Join me. I'm Bob Hardcastle.
Money Talk, Sunday morning at 8 on the Big 550 KTRS.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you, bishopspost.com.
This is Mariah, third generation at Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newsteaders, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550 KTRS. Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
All right, here we go with Thought 1. I would love to find out if this is an 80-20 or 90-10 issue with our incredible audience. I know the weather debate is more 50-50. I'd rather have it 90 degrees than 15 degrees. Many want it the other way around. That's fine. We'd all prefer 70 degrees every day like they have in San Diego. But here's the question. Does anybody like it that one day soon it'll be pitch black before 5 o'clock? I was trying to get that 30 minutes in of hitting balls last night right after the 6, and it was getting dark like at 7:15, and I know soon there's no chance of ever doing that. But taking out of my little world, who wants it dark early? Does anybody in our audience want it? I think it's the most depressing thing. Get on the text line right now, 84126. I can't imagine anybody saying, yeah, I want less sunlight. And if you do, please explain. Let's love to hear your reasoning. And if you're wondering, the cities with the most sunlight in the United States, Phoenix, Tucson, and Las Vegas. Thoughts?
I am with you. I would prefer to have the sunset later. I do know people that are out early in the that prefer the way it is because kids at bus stops and things like that, they don't want it to be pitch dark. Yeah. So that seems to come up for other people. But yeah, and I just wish we didn't jump back and forth. I think pick one or the other and let's stick with it, like places like Arizona and parts of Indiana and others that don't do the back and forth at all. It's just the age-old question, and doctors aren't in complete agreement which one is better, to stay at daylight savings or to stay at standard time. Somebody is going to have to either make a real decision that's going to tick off some people one way or the other, but I think just sticking with one.
Do you think this will be a 90-10 issue?
I do tend to, at least the people in my world, tend to wish that it wasn't getting dark earlier, especially as we get later into the year. So I think it's probably more people in agreement with you, but I'd be curious. I've got an open mind. People may really have great arguments.
Well, I don't think anybody likes like the 5 o'clock getting dark. That's the worst.
In December.
In December. But I kind of like when it gets dark at like 7:30. You know, that's like when it should be getting dark. I don't know. At some point,
7:30 is okay.
At some point, you know, it's supposed to get dark. You know, it's if you don't want it to be dark, go live in Alaska. You know, during the summer, it'll be sunny the entire 24 hours. You know?
Here's a great one. When it gets dark at 5 o'clock, I get off at 4:30. I got 30 minutes to do what I got to do outside, and then it's really depressing. So every answer so far is with us, but we'll see. I'm sure we'll get some the other way. Go ahead, Jill.
Boeing, still in a stalemate, no contract between defense workers and the company. Different tune, however, for musicians at the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. Have a new contract, and that's a full year before it's even going to take effect. If you're curious, that 4-year contract, which is going to start about 1 year from now, it includes $10,000 pay hike in the first year, and by 2030, the musician base pay to be in the St. Louis Symphony will be about $128,000. In semi-music related news, I just have to tell this story. We had something a little odd happen at band practice. As you remember, I'm not really in a band. We go practice at the rock school, a bunch of 50-somethings. It's a vanity project that is basically like therapy for all of us. But anyway, after a lot of summer travel, most of our members are back for one of our regular rehearsals where we practice every week. And we all know each other very well. Friends, been doing this for a while now. There was somebody that none of us recognized standing in our practice area. We all said hi, introduced ourselves. I'll call him Bob. Bob kind of started jamming along with us on guitar. The instructor was helping him out. Turns out everyone else thought that Bob was somebody else in our group's friend. We just thought that one of our friends had brought this guy in. And instead, he was just some rando guy who somebody at the rock school had said, oh, yeah, you can sit in and play with these guys. Since everyone else assumed somebody else knew him, we were all confused but friendly enough to just keep rolling along. I told this to a friend. She had the experience recently, not long ago, on a work trip. They sat down to dinner, the whole sales team, and began a conversation. She was familiar with everybody except for one guy. About halfway through the dinner, somebody asked the guy a question, and it became clear he was not part of their work gathering. Turns out he claimed he came into the restaurant for another sales event and, quote, must have gotten seated at the wrong table. Afterwards, the other people at the table think he actually was just some rando guy who wanted a free meal and pretended he was with the group and figured everyone else would do that. I had talked to a friend who's done some wedding planning work. She said the whole wedding crashers thing of people showing up that you don't actually know who they are happens way more often than you think, because everybody assumes, oh, he must be with the bride's family. No, he must be with the groom's family. I'm curious if anybody on the text line has ever had any of these experiences.
I feel like going for the free corporate lunch is a thing that would George Costanza would do on Seinfeld, try to sneak his way in for a free meal.
And I can understand that with the buffet and where you just kind of sort of look like, but sitting down at a table and trying to pretend that you're with them, I thought that was get kudos to the guy or cringe depending on your perspective.
I may or may not at the Sheraton Hotel grabbed a bagel once a month ago, and they had these big meetings, and walking by, a lot of bagels there.
Yeah, but you're Frank Cusimano, so they're going to assume you're the keynote speaker or somebody important there.
All right, thought two, Charlie Sheen. We have not heard from him in a long time, and now the documentary. He's written a book. He's doing interviews with USA Today and Fox. Here's a clip of it. Yes, I know he did as many things wrong as a human could do, but if you watch the interview and you just heard him talk about him being sober, he doesn't make excuses. He's humble, and I can't help it, but I'm pulling for the guy. 8 years sober, that's a pretty good run. He's paid a price. He was once worth $150 million and had this, good reputation. Well, I guess we didn't know about him. And now they say he's worth about just $3 million. So I'm just rooting for the guy. And it leads me to a question. Your Mount Rushmore of sitcoms. I'm telling you, I hold 2.5 Men in a high regard. But when I came down to actually writing down my list, it did not quite make the top 4. Seinfeld, Everybody Loves Raymond, Mary Tyler Moore, and Cheers. You know what the common denominator is? You can't really say who the best character was in those 4 shows. Jerry, Kramer, George, and Elaine. Deborah, Ray, Robert, Marie. Mary Tyler Moore, Ted Baxter, Lou Grant. Sam Malone, Norm, Cliff, Woody, or Diane Chambers. That is the mark of greatness when you really can't say, she's the best, or he's the best. But that's my Mount Rushmore. Seinfeld, Everybody Loves Raymond, Mary Tyler Moore, and Cheers. 84126, Royal Banks of Missouri text line.
What can I give can I give 5?
All right.
Okay, so mine would be Parks and Rec, The Office, 30 Rock. I think I can do 4 as well, I guess. And then I'm not going to say it's the last word of it is Creek. The first word rhymes with hits. I don't know that we can say that even though it's special, but that's if I'm in a bad mood, I can just put that on and rewatch it, and I find
that's your Mount Rushmore. Very good. Connor, do you have one, or are you catching you off guard?
I'm going to go with The Office as well. 30 Rock, I love. Seinfeld, of course.
3.
And I got to get a 4th. That's tough. Yeah, you're catching me a little bit off guard.
Come back with that. All right. All right, Jill, number 2 for you.
Number 2. Sorry, I got lost in my world of thinking about those sitcoms. By the way, your list was great. So the more and more people crying foul, I hadn't heard about this till today, maybe you guys have, claiming they were falsely charged for smoking in their hotel rooms. Some hotels now being accused of scamming people, falsely charging guests hefty vaping or smoking fees, often $500. And many of these people say, we did not smoke or vape. Turns out these charges are triggered by highly sensitive smoke detectors, some that don't even go off in the room, but they send an alert to the front desk. Allegedly, these smoke detectors do detect things like vaping, but turns out they can also be set off by things like aerosols from hairspray, deodorant, or even steam from an extremely hot shower. So what do you do to fight this? We'll talk about that in a second, but here's a couple of hotel guests that claimed they were caught up in this. And so this person claimed that she was, getting ready, putting her hair on and doing her hair. And that's when things went off and she tried to fight it.
Wow.
And the hotel.
Doing her hair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
Hotel said, nope, this is just what we have to do. Advice from consumer experts are saying, if this happens to you, try not to leave the hotel without resolving the charge. Document everything, dispute the charge with your credit card company, and leave negative reviews on sites like TripAdvisor and Google to warn others. And that's how people are beginning to question whether it's a scam, because certain hotels seem to be having a high number of these complaints. Some hotels are unhelpful, claiming a third-party company handles the sensors and that they can't offer an immediate solution. Listen, my heart goes out to hotel owners. I wouldn't want to have people going in and since so many people, especially in states where it's legal, will smoke weed in a hotel room, which definitely leaves behind sometimes a semi-permanent odor, or cigarettes in the room that can make the experience terrible for other people who don't want to be in a room where it smells like
That's always
smoke.
been not allowed, though, correct?
But that's always been not allowed.
So this is more about vaping, which just doesn't have the same problems. It seems like they're trying to get in on a little money making.
I think you said it perfectly, Connor.
All right.
Had you heard of this, by the way?
I had not. I can't imagine that going off when you're drying your hair. Mm-hmm. God.
So the next time you're in a hotel, Frank,
yeah.
Cold shower,
Be
no
careful.
steam.
Okay, we're getting some good thoughts on the text line about Series, and Veep is on there. Wow, that is good stuff.
That's a good one, too.
All right, thought 3, stream of con. I know we are a baseball team. I know we're a baseball town. I know we're a hockey town, a racing town, a soccer town, a golf town. But how about this? A chess town. We now have 40 Grand Masters living in our town. The highest level you can achieve in the sport is being a Grand Master. And that's more than any city, listen up, folks, in the world. Pretty amazing. According to Yahoo, Cracker Barrel lost $100 million for their attempt at rebranding. Yesterday, their tweet read like this: "You've shared your voices in recent weeks, not just on our logo, but also on our restaurants. We're continuing to listen. Today, we are suspending our remodels. I wish the company well, and I have never had a bad meal there." My friend Bobby Frisch texted me yesterday and said, "Boy, it was weird seeing you on Channel 4. What? He explained the KTRS commercial now airs on Channel 4. So I think it was Doug Vaughn, or maybe it was Martin Kilcorn, or maybe it was Steve Savard. I don't know. But we had a conversation once about what if we were guests on their respective shows, or they were guests on my respective show. Joining us on Sports Plus is Martin Kilcorn. Of course, with Nexstar, who owns Fox 2, buying us at Tegna, maybe that's not such a far-fetched idea after all. No one knows how it's going to work. One company owning Channel 2, Channel 5, and Channel 11. How's that going to work? But we're all waiting with bated breath.
Yeah, super interesting.
Yeah.
We do live in a different world in so many ways. Okay, a couple of stream of con things from me as well. I got to go see a preview of the Downton Abbey finale movie coming out on Friday last night. Some of our wonderful listeners were there as well. I loved it. I thought it was poignant, bittersweet finale. Is it soap opera? Yes, of course. Overly simplistic? plot resolutions tied up neatly in a bow. Of course, it's Julian Fellows. It's what he does. You will not love this movie if you didn't love the series and you didn't love the last two movies. If you did love the series and you at least like the last two movies, I think you'll really like this. They go back with just a couple of beautiful tributes to Dame Maggie Smith, of course, who is no longer with us and played such a key role as the Dowager in this series. I loved it. Everyone else I walked out with from the movie last night said they really liked it. Carl, the intern, was there. He said he liked it too, even though he was not nearly as big of a Downton Abbey fan as I am.
You said you got a little teary-eyed.
I got a little misty-eyed at the end. They did kind of just a looking back in this. Mary kind of does a turnaround in the parlor of the home, and then they'd give some flashbacks of some key plot points that happened through the decades. And yeah, I got a little verklempt for sure. I thought it was really good. I'm not usually a true crime fan, but Chuck Hogan's new book, The Carpool Detectives, completely pulled me under. It's a true story. This is an actual true story of 4 suburban moms who, during the long, uncertain months of COVID, decided to investigate a cold case that had stumped police for years, and they solved it. He builds the suspense beautifully, layer by layer, until you feel like you're right there with them, chasing every lead. I could not stop turning the pages. Would you ever dive this deep? Anybody out there had the desire to try to solve a mystery on your own?
No history of solving crimes. Just
nope.
4 women who are housewives, you said?
3 of the 4 were stay-at-home moms, and during COVID, they just got into it. They were all intelligent, educated people. One of them was considering moving from a career as what she had done in the past was as a forensic accountant into journalism. So she was hearing about this cold case sparked it for her. But it's a really fun book called The Carpool Detectives. It's by Chuck Hogan. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Well, let's take a break. Sarah Fensky is going to join us when we come back.
So happy and excited to be thinking about future travel coming up in the new year, including talking to my daughter Jane, who's getting married in the late spring of 2026. She is planning her honeymoon, and guess who she has called on to help with the planning process? That is Altair Travel and Cruises. Haley specifically, Haley Lux over at Altair Travel and Cruises has some real expertise in planning honeymoons for people, and just the process has been really fun to see where the future bride and groom have been considering, how Haley was able to tell them what experiences their travel team had in various locations and what can ensure a relaxing, enjoyable, and memorable trip. So whether you know somebody in your life who's planning a honeymoon, an anniversary trip, just needs to get away, and like me, it gives some, in psychology, we all like to have things that we look forward to in our lives that help keep our moods upbeat and positive. Travel is one of those things for me, and hopefully it is for you too. If you're ready to plan your next big trip, altairtravel.com. Peruse the pictures, get inspired, and then give them a call, 314-968-9600 to begin your trip planning today.
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
Summer doesn't officially end for another dozen days, and we're about to get a not-so-subtle reminder of that. Yeah, a warming trend begins today, runs right through the weekend. I've got us at 88 this afternoon with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Mostly clear tonight, down to 65 for the low early Thursday morning. We'll be close to 90 tomorrow afternoon under mostly sunny skies, and then Friday a little warmer at 92, and this weekend a little warmer, 95, both Saturday and Sunday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Beal Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpet sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week. Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
Football is back, which means Dogtown is back. Dogtown Pizza, that is. And with 12 games on Mizzou's upcoming football schedule, you can have a different pizza every game. Kick off the season with a bacon, have a hot chicken on homecoming, and save that pepperoni peppercini, my favorite, for Arkansas. It's football season, and nothing goes better with the pigskin than a hot Dogtown Pizza. Let's cheer on those Missouri Tigers. M-I-Z... D-O-G, Dogtown Pizza, and dogtownpizza.com.
Country Club Car Wash is the best car wash in town. How do I know? I have an unlimited monthly pass to Country Club Car Wash, and it's fantastic. They're touchless, and you get free vacuums at select locations. Each and every day on the morning show, we will be giving away one free Country Club Car Wash to the text of the day. And each week, we'll be giving away a grand prize, 1 month of free Country Club Car Washes to the text of the week. We'll see you on the show, and we'll see you at Country Club Car Wash, cccwstl.com.
Worldwide Technology Raceway is the only track in America to host a NASCAR event, an IndyCar event, and an NHRA event. Don't miss the upcoming NASCAR Xfinity Series, the NASCAR Cup Series, Enjoy Illinois 300, and the NHRA Midwest Nationals, all happening in September. The track, under the leadership of owner Curtis Francois, continues to upgrade the race experience for fans who come from around the country. For tickets, go to www.raceway.com.
Your dentures no longer fit? Maybe you're missing a tooth or several teeth. Visit Dr. Bowen for Simply Secure Dentures and Dental Implants. The cutting-edge, high-quality dental implants that replace all the teeth in your mouth, and it starts as low as $7,000, not the $35,000 that others charge. If you're only missing a few teeth, Dr. Bowen can permanently replace those with something you don't have to take in and out of your mouth. Learn more at simplysecuredentures.com and get the care you need and the teeth you want at Bowen Dental Care or simplysecuredentures.com.
You're finally ready to renovate your home. Now's the time to start your project to have it completed in time for the holidays. River Bend Kitchen and More specializes in kitchens and baths, but also bars, bookcases, cabinetry, countertops, and more. They work with homeowners, contractors, and developers. Proud supplier of Waypoint Living Spaces cabinets, as well as other quality cabinetry lines. Financing is available, conveniently located in Soulard, Alton, and Mascoutah. Call 314-314-7411. Online at riverbendkm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Time check 10:39. You're listening to the Frank and Jill Show. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, Connor McCarthy on KTRS, the Big 550 Talk of St. Louis. It is Wednesday morning, which means we get to cover some hot topics and news behind the headlines with our fave, executive editor of St. Louis Magazine, editor of the St. Louis Daily Newsletter, Sarah Fenske. Good morning, Sarah. How you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good. You guys have had a lot of interesting stories this week, including somebody I hadn't heard of for a little while in the news, but he's got some new things happening with some trouble he got into a couple of years ago, and that's a name familiar to many of our listeners. His last name is Bosley, Brandon Bosley. What was it that he got in trouble for, and how does that case stand now?
Well, he did something where there was a federal informant who was apparently already talking to the feds, and Brandon Bosley comes to him and tells him that he needs his help to scam an insurance company, that if they can mark up the cost of this auto repair that he needed, that Brandon would apparently then submit this to the auto insurance company and get more money than he was supposed to get. So they charged him with, I think it was some sort of wire fraud, and this case has been now going on for quite some time. And Brandon Bosley, it turns out, has gone through 3 lawyers in that time period. His latest lawyer trying to argue that this was entrapment, that, this idea that law enforcement tries to talk you into doing a bad thing so that they can then catch you doing it. And the federal prosecutor on this case is like, this is absurd. Nobody tried to talk him into this. He brought this up. It doesn't seem like this attempt to fight this charge is going that well.
And he is related to Freeman Bosley. That's his son?
No, his brother, I think.
His brother.
Yeah, I think they're half brothers.
Okay. What type of sentencing could he get if he's found guilty?
Wire fraud. It seems like something the feds will go after when they kind of know they've got you on some other stuff, but this is the easier one, and they just kind of want to knock you out of public life. I think we'd probably be looking at like a year in prison. This is not the end of the world, but a felony conviction is obviously a big deal, and I wouldn't want to go to prison for a year. So
yeah,
he's fighting hard.
All right, so what's going on in that beautiful town of Brentwood? The businesses are thriving, and they have so many good businesses there. The traffic is rough, and they're going to turn down a business? Explain, please.
Yeah, there's a drive-through coffee shop that wanted to open in Brentwood, and from all accounts, it seems to be a nice business, the kind of thing that everybody would want in their community. But I think we all know, anybody who's spent any time in Brentwood, it's traffic that one does not get used to in St. Louis. It's definitely the exception in terms of how long it takes to get around there. So pretty recently, the Brentwood City Council, the mayor cast the defining vote here, and they voted this thing down. They said there's nothing wrong with this business, but we just can't keep adding to this traffic.
By the way, did you see, Jill, in fact, we had it on last night, is Brentwood, and this is nothing new, they're ranked as one of the best cities to live in the United States. Explain that, Jill, or...
Well, I think in terms of one of the things that makes St. Louis unique is we have the central corridor of suburbs, right? So you live fairly close to the action, but you don't have to live far out. And in Brentwood, if you look at the price per square foot compared to some of those other central suburbs, it's still a pretty darn affordable place to live with some nice neighborhoods and parks. So that would be my guess why maybe it would make a list like that.
Yeah, if I can jump in here, I think a big part of this is the way that the tax code works in Missouri is so many suburbs are dependent on, can they get a lot of sales tax revenue? Well, part of why Brentwood is such a nightmare to drive in is pretty much every national retailer seems to have set up shop there. So they have an incredibly good school district, and they have really good city services because they have all these businesses where we're all paying our 10%, 11% every time we go buy a burger or buy a piece of clothing. That is benefiting the good citizens of Brentwood.
Well said. So all of my trips to the Nordstrom Rack are helping helping that place.
Exactly.
Clark's. I wonder, is Carl's considered in Brentwood, or is that Rock Hill? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but you've given them you've given them a few dollars in tax revenue from them as well. I loved your line. It was actually yesterday in the St. Louis Daily Newsletter about St. Louis's funniest candle makers. I don't put those two things together very often, but it was a fun human interest story that you highlighted, something I hadn't heard of before. Fill in our listeners.
Yeah, so this is JD and Kate Dobson, and I just love these two. I only know them journalistically. This is not like I'm pumping up my besties here, but they are rare among the people I've interviewed in that I secretly want to be their besties because they are the funniest two people I have ever talked to. So they're there originally in South City. I think now they're in Webster Groves. They have this candle company that operates out of their house. And, everybody's got a fancy little candle in their living room. What makes these candles different is that they're plumbing world history and U.S. presidents and world leaders, and they have written the funniest copy that goes on these candles. I mean, it is a candle that will make you laugh out loud, but it also then burns. It's a legit candle. So they have this new candle that is the Fall of Rome scented candle, and this has just struck a chord with everybody who's worried about our American democracy. This candle went so viral that the New York Times heard about it and ended up writing just a really nice profile of these two. And I'm so glad I can say I knew them when, because they totally deserve this national attention.
Anytime we get a positive write-up in places like, the New York Times or Wall Street Journal in St. Louis, we'll take it these days.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. And I want to draw you to one other New York Times reference. They actually, you can read about this today on St. Louis Magazine's website. They have named this restaurant Robin that is in Maplewood. They've named it one of the best in the nation.
Wow.
So the New York Times is just hanging out in St. Louis looking for good copy.
Wait a minute now. Have you been there? I haven't heard about it. What do you know?
I have not been there. They've only been open since March, and it is more of a fine dining, higher price point, which I'm totally fine with. I just need to get a babysitter and haven't managed to get a reservation on a night I have a babysitter. So what I have heard is this is incredible, and that it's kind of, it's not super stuffy, but the food is really good.
Robin in Brentwood. Okay, it's a good tip.
Sorry, in Maplewood.
In Maplewood, okay. Speaking of restaurants, in your Heard on the Street section, rest in peace, Marjorie Amaghetti, who started that incredible place, has passed away at the age of 97. I don't know anybody who hasn't been to Amaghetti's at least once, but what a great run she had. What a great run their family has had.
Yeah, and she apparently was just quite a character. Her nickname was Feisty. You've got to be a cool woman to be nicknamed Feisty, and was just a legend on the Hill. And how wonderful that she made it to 97 and now has this legacy of this business that's still thriving.
Good stuff, Sarah Fenske. We highly recommend that you hop on the St. Louis Magazine website, everybody. Sign up for the free St. Louis Daily newsletter. And by the way, before we let you go, 314 podcast, anybody new or any interviews we should be looking out for?
So I don't know that we talked about this one. State Senator Brian Williams, who is challenging Sam Page. I dropped that one late last week. I think this is a really interesting interview. I think for any county residents who are trying to decide who to vote for in the 2026 race, Brian Williams makes a really interesting case. He is a very different person than Sam Page. I think people should listen to this and see what they think.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. We had him in studio recently, or I guess it was over the phone. What was your takeaway? What was the one thing that jumped out at you about the interview?
He said St. Louis needs to do a better job of telling its story. And I was thinking, okay, he's very smart that this is what he's leading with, because one of the differences between him and Sam Page is he's just a very charming and eloquent talker. And Sam Page, for all his strengths, he's a little bit tough conversationally. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, Senator Williams, I could talk to this guy for hours. He's very smooth.
Yeah, I think you're being very kind in your description of Sam Page.
Well, being diplomatic here, Frank.
But I will say this, Brian Williams spoke at the Legends Luncheon in Norwood Hills, too, and he charmed everybody. Yeah, he's really an intriguing candidate. I can't wait to see how that election is going to unfold. But thank you so much for your time. We will talk next week.
Thank you.
Real quick, Amaghetti's story. By the way, did you know Marge from your years at Connections?
I have not really met her, no.
Okay, so I remember we moved to town in St. Louis in 1993, and some friends of ours said, one of the things you have to do is get an Amaghetti sandwich. It's very famous. And I was thinking in my head, how special can a sandwich be?
Yeah.
First time I took a bite, I never had like tangy Italian dressing on a sandwich, that many different flavors of the Italian cured meats. And it kind of blew my mind, and I thought, and the bread, I mean, it was better than any sandwich I'd ever tried. I guess we just hadn't had that classic Italian kind of flavors come together in our past before then.
Speaking of restaurants in that area, I'm going to try to squeeze one last dinner with Monique before she leaves for probably 2 years to go on her little trip here.
2 weeks, by the way.
But we're going to meet at Ferrado's tonight. I don't know when the last time you've been to Ferrado's, but really a good Italian salad and really good pizza. Bob Ramsey's brother-in-law is actually the general manager. It's just a terrific place. And their business, they just do an unbelievable business. Oh, gosh, it's a good place.
Yes, good reminder. Thank you for that as well. And here's another reminder for you. Jeff Zufall, Senior Tax Strategist, Wealth Advisor at Capital Advisory Group. And remember that first line that I just said, tax strategist. That's a fancy way of saying he understands taxes frontwards and backwards in ways that you and I will probably never be able to comprehend, unless you're one of those people who is also a tax professional. And the reason that he thinks it's so important to be thinking strategically about our taxes is that a lot of people just do what they're supposed to do. And they think, I want to make sure I don't get in trouble. I don't want to get audited. And the challenge of that is then we overpay on taxes. We have less money to invest, less wealth to grow, and smaller nest eggs when we retire. Jeff says once you have people who are experts that really understand the tax codes, they can make sure that you pay exactly what you owe, but not a penny more. And we have heard from more than one listener through the years that says, hey, I finally followed your advice, talked to Jeff, and I was able to get back refunds for overpayment that I had done in the past. It's really proven the way that he can help you handle your tax strategy. Of course, he wrote the book on the subject, Keep What's Yours, and he has it's the title of the same show he has every weekend here on on KTRS. This week, by the way, it's going to be 8 p.m. Saturday because of Mizzou football, so mark your calendars for that. Capital Advisory, grp.com, 636-394-5524.
Truck drivers, have you been searching for a more reliable driving job? Get the paychecks and predictability you need as a Schneider driver. Schneider's large selection of driving jobs means you can get the home time that suits your schedule. Choose from daily, weekly, monthly, or sometime in between. Plus, Schneider drivers have access to great benefits with a 401k match and a 24/7 support team. Get the keys to a better driving job. Search openings near you and apply now at schneiderjobs.com.
Andy from Hats and Stuff. The summer's heat is starting to break and the kids are back to school, and we're gearing up for an exciting fall with a great selection of NFL and NHL hoodies, ball caps, and so much more. We still have great deals on Cardinals and Mizzou merchandise for the entire family at fantastic prices. We have a huge selection of St. Louis-inspired graphic tees, all at $10. And don't forget about the cowboy hats. Located in Westport Plaza, across from the Drunken Fish and the Kobe Steakhouse, and the Soulard Farmers Market on Saturdays. Hats and Stuff. Good stuff at really great prices. Hats and Stuff.
Are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Who is helping you with retirement? Might be time to check out the show When Retirement Happens, hosted by Kevin Lloyd of Legacy Wealth Advisors. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon on the Big 550 KTRS.
Health insurance can feel complicated, but Medica health plans are different. See, we're nonprofit, which means people first, not shareholders. And we're right here in St. Louis with affordable plans for local care you trust. Your doctors, your hospitals, to help you feel your best. With Medica, your health coverage can feel a bit simpler. And now, we're here for you. Medica Health Plans. You're not just covered, you're cared for.
Are you tired of looking at those old, worn-out floors? Have you been dreaming of new hardwood floors? Well, then you should start dreaming about Boardwalk Hardwood. It's their annual warehouse sale going on right now through the end of September at all 4 locations. At Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, half off new floors. You can get half off inventory and factory specials and up to 25% off special order items. Their showrooms, 4 of them at Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, are filled with beautiful styles, great budgets, from timeless classics to modern designs and everything in between. Your home will look beautiful with gorgeous hardwood floors. Rich, stunning hardwood floors, courtesy of BoardwalkHardwood.com. For 25 years, Boardwalk has been your trusted, local, family-owned, quality flooring provider. And if you need hardwood floors, it's their annual warehouse sale now through the end of September at all 4 locations. Boardwalk Hardwood or BoardwalkHardwood.com.
You can count on Cantor. I'm Mark Cantor. When I was 12 years old, I witnessed my father, a pediatric doctor at Cardinal Glennon Hospital, suffer a terrible accident when a large and defective battery exploded in his face. My father went into shock and had to undergo emergency surgery to save his life. While my dad recovered, he hired a lawyer who promised that no one else would be hurt by that company's product, and he filed a lawsuit to make sure no one did. I love my dad, and what he went through inspired me to become a lawyer and to start Cantor Injury Law. Like my father, I serve the St. Louis community, and I have done so for over 30 years. You can count on Cantor to treat you like family, to understand your case and your injury, and to fight for you. You can count on Cantor to help make things right. Visit CantorInjuryLaw.com or find us on Facebook or call us at 314-628-9999. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision, should not be based solely upon advertisement, so call Cantor.
Tune in Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for Straight Talk and Retirement with Jeff and Aaron Lapidus for an intimate understanding of the retirement needs you may soon be facing.
What'd you think of some of these suggestions for favorite sitcoms through the years?
Well, it's interesting. You went Office, and my son Dom says, "Oh, The Office is better than Seinfeld." So Seinfeld and The Office, of course, but have to put King of Queens in my top 4. That was good. Big Bang Theory, I haven't watched.
Andy Griffith's Show.
Going
way
yes,
back.
going old school with Don Knotts. That was awesome.
All in the Family from our friend Bob the Woodworker. That's a good one.
Really good. MASH. Boy, that was so good, especially the old ones.
Yeah, a lot of people really do like Big Bang Theory. I would and How I Met Your Mother. I would say those are kind of for a slightly younger generation than us, but they were same thing with What was the one with Zoe Deschanel?
That's New Girl.
New Girl. That's another one that a lot of people grew up loving. I never got into it, but a lot of people loved it.
Family.
Oh, that's a great
Connection
one.
there with you, huh?
I love Modern Family. Yeah, because Frank thinks I'm a lot like
no,
Claire.
I did not. It's your daughters. I had nothing to do
and
with
you
that.
smile and give a giant
Yes.
thumbs up and say that was genius that they thought of that, but it wasn't your original
Did you
idea.
see, was it Cam off of Modern Family just got married?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He's much slimmer than he was back in the day.
Boy, is that he may be the best on that. I don't. That's another one you just can't pick a best. I mean, Phil is just so good.
The writing is good, just the
Sophie
goofiness. And it's
Figuera.
one of those ones that did not do well originally. And I have to say, the first couple times I watched it, I thought, what was this? But once those characters kind of wrapped themselves around you, I think a lot of people are in agreement with you. They do not like the getting dark earlier. They wish it stayed steady. But some people pointing out, hey, if we lived in North Dakota, it'd be a lot worse. So we really don't have much to complain
True.
about here.
Barney Miller, starring Barney Miller. Abe Vigoda was in that from The Godfather. Hard to believe. Abe Vigoda was in a sitcom.
He was
And he was great.
So good in his character. I mean, wouldn't you say he's a quintessential curmudgeon?
Oh, the
I mean,
best.
perfection. And somebody here said they actually had somebody show up at their daughter or son's wedding. I can't remember which one. That they didn't realize till they looked at the pictures. Nobody knew. They were just there having a good time. I love that.
That is a real life thing. There are wedding crashers.
Yep, for sure. Hey, we got a lot more coming up in the show that you are not going to want to miss, including one of your favorite segments, our Back to the Feature segment with the incredible Tarek Khan coming up right after the news.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Mama's on the Hill is the legendary birthplace of the Toasted Rav, and Mama's is the premier family restaurant on the hill. Make a reservation online at mamasonthehill.com.
News, weather, traffic, sports, and live local talk. This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Depend on it.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Russian drones targeting Ukrainian targets violated Polish airspace overnight, with NATO jets scrambling to shoot them down. ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge has more on the escalation and reaction.
That breach of Polish airspace sparking condemnation from European leaders. Poland holding emergency meetings this morning, consulting with NATO allies, calling it a deliberate provocation, saying Moscow is waging war with the whole Western world, and warning of the risk of open conflict with Russia.
The U.S. working to tamp down tensions in the Middle East following Israel's strike on Hamas headquarters in Qatar's capital yesterday. Hamas says none of its top leaders were killed. Qatari officials say at least 6 people died, including some Hamas security guards. President Trump says he's very unhappy with Israel's decision to hit targets in Qatar, a key ally in Gaza ceasefire talks. ABC's James Longman is in Doha.
Some of the families of the hostages have also spoken out against this strike, saying it just endangers their lives even more. And this is as the IDF is now on the march in Gaza, looking to occupy Gaza City. The chances of a peace deal anytime soon seem very, very slim.
In France today, Hundreds of demonstrators arrested, including in the city of Marseille. Protesters, part of what's called the Block Everything movement, calling for a full day of strikes and protests over government proposals to cut spending. The new producer price index is out, and it shows inflation at the wholesale level eased a bit last month. The cost of goods and services up the supply chain from consumers declined at 2.6%. That on a yearly basis in August from 3.3% that was recorded in July. The Bureau of Labor Statistics attributes much of the decline to a drop in the cost of machinery and equipment wholesaling. Tomorrow, the BLS releasing the more closely watched consumer price index for August. You're listening to ABC News.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-859-3220. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-859-3220. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-859-3220 or biglou.com.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. Police are working to identify human remains found at the Columbia Bottoms Conservation Area in North County. Police say the discovery was made on Monday along the 800 block of Stratman Road. Anyone with information should call the St. Louis County Police. There's a court hearing today for a man accused of hitting a St. Louis police officer with his car. A bond review hearing will be held this afternoon for Mecky Campbell, who is charged with assault on a law officer. He allegedly hit Officer Nathan Spees back in March, which resulted in the officer's leg being partially amputated. Spees was attempting to arrest a suspect along I-70 in North St. Louis when he was struck. The St. Louis County Council is considering a bill to prohibit the sale of intoxicating cannabinoid products, such as Delta-8 gummies and hemp-infused beverages, outside of licensed dispensaries. That was the focus of a council meeting last night. The bill, spearheaded by Councilwoman Lisa Clancy, seeks to regulate these products due to their intoxicating effects and accessibility to children at convenience stores. A protest is planned today over the Missouri House's passage of a plan to redraw the state's congressional districts. The demonstration will be held at noon at the Missouri State Capitol. Clayton will host its annual 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb tomorrow. The event pays tribute to the firefighters, law enforcement officers, and civilians who lost their lives on September 11th of 2001. The city of St. Louis is inviting residents to help shape the future of their neighborhoods with a focus on tornado-impacted neighborhoods. The story from KTRS's Jill Enders.
The city is launching neighborhood planning efforts that will guide how development, investment, and growth take shape for the next decade. City leaders say this will heavily focus on neighborhoods impacted by the May 16th tornado. The city is now accepting applications for neighborhood planning committees. Those applications are available online at planstl.com. Now, the deadline to apply is October 13th. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
The strike at St. Louis Boeing is in this KTRS Business Minute, brought to you by Walter Knoll Florists, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. The Boeing machinist strike is no closer to a resolution after a federal mediation session on Tuesday. Union leaders say the two sides only talked directly to each other for a few minutes at the start of the session and called it a waste of time. The meeting comes after Boeing announced plans last week to begin hiring replacement workers at its 3 St. Louis area facilities. Over 3,200 Boeing machinists have been on strike since August 4th. And now let's take a look at the markets, brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement, Saturdays from 9 to 11 a.m. Right now on Wall Street, Dow Jones is down 205 points to 45,506. S&P 500 is down 29 points to 6,542. And the Nasdaq is Nasdaq is up 70 points to 21,950. KTRS Sports, the Cardinals have dropped their first 2 games in Seattle after a 5-3 loss to the Mariners. Former Cardinal Randy Arozarena homered off Matthew Liberatore, the pitcher he was traded for from St. Louis. And number 23, Mizzou Volleyball lost a blockbuster match with Stanford at the Hearn Center. The Tigers fell in 4 sets to the 5th-ranked Cardinal. KTRS weather. A warming trend starts today. Partly cloudy today with a high of 88. Tonight, cloudy, overnight low of 65. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 90. Looking ahead to Saturday, sunny with a high of 92. And on Sunday, mostly clear skies, high of 95. Currently, we have 80 degrees, and the time is 11:07. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Windows specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a Banner Day.
What a movie. Made for $3.5 million, and it ended up making $56 million. Tariq Khan is here. This is our Back to the Feature segment. Dog Day Afternoon. Boy, this was an actor just exploding on the big screen. As we were talking earlier, maybe the guy in Network, Howard Beale, going crazy, but nobody was out there and more animated and just made you watch more than Pacino in this movie.
Yeah, fantastic performance. Frank and Jill, it's hard to believe this movie came out 50 years ago this month. And it's interesting when we think of movies which involve bank robberies or focus on bank robberies, the criminals that come in and they're in masks, and they're sort of, these cliched characters and everyone's terrified and screams. But in this case here, Al Pacino and John Cazale as Sonny and Sal, they walk in there, they're not in masks and they're so human. They're so real. And the reaction, from the bank staffers was so believable as well. I mean, not over the top. They were obviously tense and terrified, but they didn't always show it. And the relationship, that dynamic between the criminals and those staffers was absolutely fascinating. And it kept you just drawn in for 2 hours. A great classic film, nominated for 6 Academy Awards. Dog Day Afternoon. Absolutely brilliant.
When John and it was a rewatch for him, but I think I'm sure it's the first time I've ever seen it. I knew of it in reference, but I'd never actually seen the movie until I watched it for our conversation today. It's in some ways a uniquely New York movie, right? The Brooklynness of the characters and the cops and the kind of sassy tellers at the bank, who, even though these guys are taking them hostage, give them the what for, so to speak, quite frequently. And that almost becomes an additional character in the film. And the passers and the people who are standing by cheering on the bank robbers outside the bank. It's just a really interesting part of the movie, I thought.
Oh, yeah, no question. And especially, of course, what makes, I think, Dog Day Afternoon unique is seeing in the film the dynamic between Pacino and then, of course, the law enforcement officials he's negotiating with, and then, of course, the big crowds who are cheering him on. And, of course, the big scene where Al Pacino starts screaming, Attica, Attica, referring to the famous Attica prison takeover back in New York in 1971. And so, yes, Jill,
which was pretty fresh in history when this is a plot point.
Yes, exactly. So, no, good point that New York City was definitely a character in the film. And this film, I think, actually characterized 1970s New York just to a T. It was done so perfectly.
And I think the best part is just the dialogue with Charles Durning, who played Sergeant Moretti. I mean, Durning is just unbelievable. They're back and forth, Just now, who got the nominations? There were 6 Academy Award nominations.
That's right, including Best Picture of the Year, lost to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Al Pacino received his 4th consecutive Best acting nomination. He had been nominated previously for The Godfather and for Serpico and for Godfather Part 2. So 4 in a row. He lost once again, this time to Jack Nicholson. And then for Best Supporting Actor, it's funny. John Cazale was great but was not nominated. Charles Durning, who you mentioned, was terrific but not nominated.
Not nominated.
It was Chris Sarandon as Al Pacino's love interest, his
Susan
boyfriend.
Sarandon's ex-husband.
Exactly right. Who wanted to have a sex change
He
operation.
was nominated for Best Supporting
for
Actor?
2 scenes. That's right. Chris Sarandon got the nomination, and it's interesting. He was terrific, but both Cazale and Durning would have been worthy as well.
If you're just joining us, Tariq Khan, of course, a Academy Award expert, nationally recognized, and our friend, one of your favorite segments, Back to the Feature, where we rewatch a classic movie, 50-year-old this year, Dog Day Afternoon. Compare and contrast, if you would, Al Pacino's performance in Godfather compared to this. I mean, he's great. He's a great actor, but I thought there was something interesting that came through in this film.
Right. Well, what's interesting about Dog Day Afternoon is that we don't see him over, a period of, of years, over different settings and with different characters and whatnot. Here, it's really just one character in one scene with one objective, and seeing him basically focus on that. And even though the role, in a sense, the arc was limited, he was incredibly dynamic. I mean, you saw him being vulnerable, you saw him being desperate, you saw him being pragmatic, and of course, at times he was absolutely explosive. And this really was one of his great performances. It's funny, if there had been no One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he would have won the Oscar hands down. He eventually won 17 years later for Scent of a Woman, which was a good performance, but I think many would agree that A Dog Day Afternoon was one of Pacino's career best performances.
And then the twist with the transgender angle, because, look, we hear about it now. It's one of the most used words for the last 3 or 4 years. But back then, how groundbreaking was it? I mean, was it ever even brought up in movies?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think so. I mean, of course, you have films like Some Like It Hot where it's kind of a joke, but in this case here, I mean, to actually see an actual person who, wanted to have a sex change operation, who actually was, in a same-sex relationship with, one of the main characters. Al Pacino's character, of course, was married, had kids, I guess was estranged from his wife. But to see that dynamic done, and it was actually, very believable, very realistic. And the phone conversation, between Chris Sarandon and Al Pacino. I mean, it really, I think, really demonstrated their relationship, and I think the audience was really, I think, drawn into that. And it wasn't one where it felt cliched or, over the top. It felt, very believable. And I think audiences were shocked, but actually really were drawn into it.
Wow. Connor, I would love to hear your perspective on it, because I think of you as somewhat of a movie aficionado, and you give always a perspective on how does this film stand the test of time.
I think it's still really good. I like this movie a lot. I do think it's kind of funny, how much of it revolves around, there's this giant crowd watching this bank robbery, which I just feel like, I don't know if that's what happened back in the day, but it just feels very foreign as a concept. I don't feel like that. I feel like that would not happen today. But I still really like it otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I think actually, it's based on the, obviously,
Right.
a real life incident. I think actually that is what happened. And actually, I think in New York City, back in the 1970s and really even, past that, I think this kind of thing, actually it would sort of, happen. That
it
is
was
how New
kind of
York
the
was made.
Wild West in that time.
Exactly. No question. So I think actually it was pretty accurate.
What about the Pacino relationship with John Cazale? Obviously, with The Godfather, he was the famous Fredo. In fact, anytime in an Italian family, if somebody's being weak, we always call that person Fredo. He was so famous for that. So does Pacino have the kind of juice at this time that he'd work with John, probably friends with him, that he could have got him into the movie? How does that work? You know Hollywood better than me.
Well, actually, if I'm not mistaken, Cazale was like an off-Broadway actor, and I think Sidney Lumet, he actually, he wanted him for the role. And of course, yes, at that point, Cazale had been in The Godfather's Part 1 and 2, the Conversation as well. Later on, he would be in The Deer Hunter, Best Picture of 1978. But Cazale, I think that Sidney Lumet really wanted him, and it was a great casting choice because even though it's a very understated performance, he doesn't say a whole lot. When you watch him on screen, I mean, you can just see, you just sort of wonder what is going on in his mind.
Yeah.
And he made it all the more intriguing.
If this wouldn't have been up against One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, also, just kind of a once in a decade in some ways film. Would it have won Best Picture?
Oh, I think no question. I think, it won Best Original Screenplay. It's only one out of its 6 nominations, but yeah, any other years. And it's funny, it had other tough competition, like Jaws was a nominee that year, and Nashville. But still, without Cuckoo's Nest, Day Afternoon would have been, I think, a slam dunk for Best Picture of the Year.
You touched on it earlier, but one of the real strengths of it is the way the bank tellers and the bank employees kind of embrace Al Pacino. I mean, here's a guy with a loaded shotgun, breaking into their place of business, and they eventually kind of like him and support him, and there's this great relationship in a sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, really, it's that classic sort of small group dynamic, kind of like what we saw in The Breakfast Club and in The Poseidon Adventure. You get these people together under very unique circumstances, and here, of course, you would think that they'd be terrified of the bank robbers, and I think they were. But then, as the movie went on, I think they realized that these were two real people, and that he had real issues, and they sort of being in that close, intense environment, they did sort of latch on and develop this really fascinating relationship.
From the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126, love to hear what you guys think. From the 636, somebody saying John Cazale's short life and career left indelible characters. Yeah, because he was gone too soon.
Oh, right, no question, yes. And in fact, I think at the time, him actually being in 5, Best Picture nominees, I mean, that was actually unprecedented.
Is that right?
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. So
you think about it, because he's not this striking leading man type, but he's been in so many great movies.
Right, yeah. So it's funny, if he had lived, I mean, the career he might have had, we'll just never know. Absolutely fascinating.
Wasn't he involved with Meryl Streep?
They were married.
Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So Susan Sarandon and Meryl Streep's one-time loves were both in this.
Okay, well, first of all, I appreciate you. I know you and Jill were talking about The Princess Diaries and 13 going on 30 and Crazy Stupid Love. I appreciate you choosing this movie instead.
That joke never gets old. Just keep it going.
Let's. One of our topics today, though, is best sitcoms ever in terms of your Mount Rushmore. We've kind of given ours. What jumps out for you?
Okay, well, I'm a child of the 1980s, so if you'll bear with me, I'm going to give you 4 of my favorite sitcoms from that decade, because that was a decade I grew up with, and watching those shows, these people, they were like family to me. So, number 1, Family Ties with Michael J. Fox.
Really good.
I mean, just 7 seasons, and the family was just so wonderful. It was hilarious. Michael J. Fox, as Alex B. Keaton, absolutely, a star was born.
Justine Bateman.
Yeah, she was terrific as well. They were all great. And then I would say, if I could, The Golden Girls. Believe it or not, 40 years ago this month it debuted and was a huge smash. Nobody would expect that, and people still love the reruns. So another one which just never gets old, no pun intended. Then, if I may, The Facts of Life. I grew up watching this one, as a kid. I went on for 9 seasons.
You take the bad.
Absolutely right. One time I saw Mindy Cohn, who played Natalie in a restaurant in New York City, and I went over to her. I was like, "Oh, Natalie," or Mindy. I said, watching you, you're like a childhood friend of me. It was so, it's so great to meet you. And then the other one I'll say is Growing Pains, which was kind of like a Family Ties clone, but was different. It's funny, when I worked at Fox in New York, Kirk Cameron would come in all the time, and we actually got to be kind of friendly. He'd come on my desk and we'd talk, and a lot of people that were younger didn't even know who he was, but he would swing by. We have great talks.
A pretty good guy too, isn't he?
Oh, super. Kirk Cameron, he's a great guy. He was terrific on Growing Pains, and just so gracious, so humble, and always treats people so well.
Somebody else pointing on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line, one that has not made the list yet was Friends, which really should have been that would have been my 5th one on my Mount Rushmore. You and I are at the same age. Do you remember the show Square Pegs with Sarah Jessica Parker that was right on after Family Ties?
Yes.
Way too. I was just talking about that to Connor the other day with nostalgia. That was a
great
and
one.
way too short of a show in my opinion.
Is there even a sitcom now that's really, really good? Connor, anybody?
There's just not as many sitcoms now.
I think St. Dennis is really good on Peacock. I do. I think it's clever, and it's a medical.
When does that air?
And I'm not even sure. I've only watched it on. I go to it airs on NBC, but I have no idea where. I've never watched it in real time, but I think it's cute as can be. And Leanne Morgan's sitcom that came out on Netflix, and it had laugh tracks and was back to the old way of shooting. The what did you call it, Connor?
Like the multicam
video shoot. It's doing real well, so I think there's an appetite for it. Maybe. What do you think?
Well, it's funny, back in the day, before streaming, when it was just linear television, I mean, people would sort of tune in to watch their favorite sitcoms, and they became, I mean, the characters in those shows, I mean, became like family to people. And those shows, after they aired, because they would air, at a scheduled time, date, at a time, and the next day everyone would be talking about them, and even Friends at the point was still that same way. So I feel like we've kind of like lost lost that in this new generation, this new wave of technology with streaming, that it's not the way it used to be with linear television.
Is MASH considered a drama or a sitcom?
Sitcom, definitely, yeah. I mean, for sure. Somebody suggesting Sanford and Son, and believe me, when I was writing my list down, when I was jotting it down last night, I had Sanford and Son, but then I knocked it out for Mary Tyler Moore, which I think was, you young whippersnappers probably can't go back that far.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is a recommendation perhaps for a future movie from the Royal Banks of Missouri text line, Rear Window by Jimmy Stewart. So we'll keep that in mind.
Is there any anniversary with that movie coming up? Because what you try to do is you choose anniversaries.
Oh, yes. Well, Rear Window came out in 1954, so I guess last year it celebrated its 70th anniversary, but we can do other Hitchcock films as well. I was thinking actually later on we could do Psycho, film celebrating its 65th anniversary, so definitely room for great films like that.
So next time is going to be Friday the 13th.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a while. I mean, it's its 40th anniversary, and even though it's a movie which I think obviously critics despise, it actually was a huge success. I mean, it spawned countless sequels and countless imitations. So I think everyone who grew up back in the 70s and 80s saw that film and still remembers it. So I think it'd be a great one to revisit.
Best scary movie ever made? What would you put?
Oh gosh, I would actually say the original Halloween for me.
Okay.
Being a fan of Jamie Lee Curtis. Like you are as well, Frank, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love these conversations. We will be talking Friday the 13th in a couple of weeks. Thanks to everybody else weighing in. You asked the question, Frank, before we go to break about are there any good modern sitcoms? The Neighborhood, people like that, and Abbott Elementary both getting thumbs up, and they are both good ones, I think. So there is good comedy writing happening in sitcoms as well. Lots more coming up in the show right after this.
Most people think if I name my husband as beneficiary, everything's going to be okay, and that's not necessarily true.
I'm Scott Garcia with Premier Estate and Income Planning.
What am I doing taking care of people after somebody has passed and all the mess that comes with that?
And I'm Jennifer Cermak, Chief Counsel and Estate Planning Attorney of Premier Estate and Income Planning.
No longer is the attorney the gatekeeper to your lives.
Let us show you how to protect your assets, avoid probate, and retire with confidence.
Having an estate plan could be the most important document you could ever have.
The Premier Income and Estate Planning Show, this Saturday at 4 and this Sunday morning at 7 on the Big 550 KTRS.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code COOL to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code COOL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code COOL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Feeling sluggish or just not quite yourself? It might be time to optimize your hormones. Heidi here for Premier You, the experts in helping men and women feel their absolute best. Premier U specializes in personalized hormone optimization to boost energy, improve mental clarity, and enhance overall wellness. Take charge of your health today. Visit premierumed.com and discover how hormone optimization can transform your life. 2 locations on both sides of the river with telemed options. Premier U, where better health begins.
Since 1974, Permajack of St. Louis has been helping residential and commercial owners protect their biggest investment. From successfully solving foundation structural problems to making sure basements remain dry, Permajack has performed tens of thousands of projects on both sides of the river, utilizing state-of-the-art technology, techniques, and equipment. Permajack of St. Louis has done it with honesty and integrity, never recommending anything outside of what you really need. For many repairs, Permajack provides a transferable life of structure warranty, all while Permajack of St. Louis has earned a BBB A+ rating and accreditation for foundation settlement, bowed or buckling walls, cracks in your foundation, walls or bricks, or basement waterproofing. Choose the hometown family-owned team at Permajack of St. Louis. Schedule your free inspection and estimate at permajackofstlewis.com. That's permajackofstlewis.com. Permajack, solid as rock.
Hey, it's Heidi, and I've only sold 2 houses, but I know how stressful it can be. I also know the team at Lauren Risley Realty makes the entire process as easy as possible. I watched Lauren work with friends and my parents, and I can say she is top notch. She doesn't just know the market, she knows what to look for in a home, and that includes red flags. And through all of it, she is calm, cool, and kind. So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, or if you just have a question, call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684, or go to laurenrisleyrealty.com.
The Bommarito Automotive Group is Missouri's #1 automotive group. They've sold over 1 million vehicles by giving you a better price, a better selection, and more for your trade. You can shop them online, see their entire inventory at bommarito.com.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550 KTRS. Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Welcome. The opening dialogue was so good, we almost did it twice today.
Well, yeah, I realized I hit the wrong one. Here we go. Let's get the right one.
Okay.
Want a song?
You're on my mind like the song on the radio.
Want a quote? It's the song and quote of the day on the Frank and Jill Show. Right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Along those lines, we used to have a great police chief in St. Louis, Chief Camp, Eugene Camp. He once did a talk at the Gatesworth, and he read the first page, and he did not turn over to the second page, and he got distracted, and he read the first page again.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "You're probably wondering why I just repeated myself. I just wanted to emphasize the importance of what I just said."
I mean, I did that when I was filling anchoring on the news more than once.
You repeated?
I started, and then I was like, wait, where am I?
Yeah.
So
Did you run your own prompter at one time?
No, I never did. At the TV station I started at in Des Moines, somebody was still hand feeding the scripts through the old machine.
Remember that.
It was not all digital yet. And it was at Channel 2 when I first got there, too.
Just imagine the amount of people that would be a part of that 10 o'clock, because you'd have 2 camera operators at least on the floor, and then you'd have somebody running prompter, and then you had a director and a producer. Mm-hmm. Now the director, oh my gosh, it's
I mean, it was
streamlined.
they would, and you probably already know this, Connor, but you would type your scripts out in triplicate, right?
Yeah.
And then the last copy, the pink copy, was the sheets were taped together and then fed into a machine that was kind of like an overhead projector that would project it onto the camera's teleprompters, and that's how we read the news stories.
I don't think I knew that. I don't know why I would know that. I don't think that was done.
I didn't know if anybody had told this story to you before, but there was a teleprompter operator who was it was analog to the nth degree for sure. Speaking of going back in time, Rick Davies died this week at the age of 81, one of the original founders of the group Supertramp. So in memory of him, we thought we'd play a little Supertramp this morning. I was curious today when I was looking up some information. You guys already knew this, but the name Supertramp, originally the group was called Daddy, but they changed it to Supertramp in 1970 to avoid confusion with another band that was starting to become popular called Daddy Longlegs. And so they came up with Supertramp because there was a book called The Autobiography of a Supertramp by the Welsh poet W.H. Davies, and Rick Davies thought that it was kind of apropos to name the group then Supertramp.
Well, there were a lot of great bands a lot of great British rock bands, weren't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they were one of them.
Were you a Supertramp
Well,
fan
I appreciate
back
that
in the
song
day?
and a few of their songs. I don't think I ever saw them in concert, but boy, they were hot for a while, weren't they?
Yes, and I'd say that they were one of the biggest bands in their era in the 70s. I think that's fair to say. Are you a Supertramp fan at all, Connor?
Didn't they do Goodbye Stranger? So that's the one I.
Yeah, you got a couple
I
of
got
good.
two.
Yeah, good, good stuff as well. The Emmys are coming up on Sunday, and the host of the Emmys, and I think Frank, you'll agree with me, great choice this year is Nate Bargatze.
Oh my gosh,
he's so funny. By the way, he was on Jimmy Kimmel last night. The two of them are really funny together, joking about. Jimmy trying to kind of coach him to be ready, and so I thought we'd have a little bit of old school Nate Bargatze stand up to think of him today. And by the way, CBS Sunday Morning did a really fun feature on him. And it's fun to watch the stories about him or to see him on the late night television because he's just funny even when he's just sitting there being interviewed.
Is he based, or was he ever, does he have Nashville roots? Is that his?
Tennessee. I'm not sure whether it's Nashville or, I believe he's from somewhere in Tennessee.
Do you remember when the Emmys were absolutely you had to watch it? Or kind of like the Oscars too. But I got to tell you, anything on Sunday night, you're just going up against the juggernaut known as Sunday Night Football, and you're going to get your rear end kicked.
Yeah, I used to watch it. I always liked to see what everybody was wearing and kind of just the whole show of it. I've just sort of lost my appetite for it. Not, some people say, oh, it got too political or whatever. It wasn't that. It's just not something that I'm necessarily interested in anymore. I can't exactly put my finger on it.
In fact, let's just go back to what we were talking about 7 or 8 minutes ago. Hey, any sitcoms out now? I mean, none of us could really come up with anything.
Yeah, although Abbott Elementary has won a lot of Emmys in recent years. It's great, and I have to agree with that.
But it just goes back to just people are not watching as much network television as they used to. Well, I don't know if that's... Yeah, they are because there's so many more options.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing sometimes... I have gotten into Abbott Elementary. I didn't watch it in real time on when it's on, but I have watched it on streaming on Paramount, and it definitely makes me laugh out loud. It just tends to be, it's harder to find them because we don't have that appointment television. Back in the day, we never would miss Mary Tyler Moore when that was on. It was or MASH or any of the other things that you guys have mentioned. Cheers came up in the list when you were asking folks for their favorite or their what would be on their Mount Rushmore of favorite sitcoms of all time. And I asked you if you were on Team Shelley Long or Kirstie Alley in terms of the love interests of Ted Danson.
Yeah, I mean, they both played great roles. I think I lean towards Kirstie Alley, but it's close. I think there were reports that Shelley Long was not the easiest person to get along with, but she was just great in that role.
And you were a big Norm fan.
Oh, my gosh. When was he ever not funny?
I have to say Cliff Clavin was my favorite.
He was great, too.
I could be in a bad mood, and when he was just like, let me tell you something, I knew that guy. Something about him always could put a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Somebody said they thought when you were talking about juggernauts, you would say Channel 5 Sports.
Plus, yes. But we're not competing against the Emmys. We're competing against some infomercial as late as we go on now. But, yeah, we're going to have a good one this Sunday. We're going to interview Dave Stewart.
Oh, great.
Yes.
And that had to be kind of fun for you.
Yeah, we're going to look back at the anniversary because they celebrated this week of the Cardinals one of the best teams the Cardinals have ever had, but to not win a World Series, the 1985 squad. And we're also going to be interviewing Kevin Coleman, the pride of St. Mary's, a Mizzou star. We'll tape that interview sometime Sunday night.
And that was a reunion that happened in the last week or so,
Yes.
including some people that maybe you haven't talked to for a while. We'll get to see them on this as well.
Yeah, and one of the stars of it was Terry Pendleton. We never hear from him. He was a great player at third baseman, former MVP of the National League, and to hear his account of the pain and what they had to go through the night of losing the Don Denkinger game and to come back and play, and he knew they were cooked. They were just not going to win. So we're excited about that segment coming up on Sunday night.
Well, something else to get excited about is doing some shopping at Miller Furniture. Of course, you know, it's one of my favorite places to go to. If you have a Saturday with some time on your hands, man, go peruse any of the showrooms at the locations. Let me tell you, all of us have had that experience. I was talking about this with a friend. When you are relatively new homeowners and you see the big sales at one of the giant stores, and gosh, this furniture, I can buy an entire room of furniture for such a great price. And we all had that experience where we went off, bought it, maybe even bought it on layaway or over time. And then we ended up realizing that we'd gotten the wrong scale of furniture. If furniture was priced as low as it was, it had to be not great quality. And before long, when we're sitting on our couch, we were actually hitting that wood frame part underneath the cushion. Hopefully, as time goes on, as we walk down the path of life, we get smarter and we begin to recognize that we want to have quality furniture that actually fits in the scale of our house, enhances our homes, and allows us to enjoy it, be comfortable on it, and look beautiful for a long time to come. And that's where you're going to get great product, great service, great guidance from the incredible staff at Miller Furniture. So whether you have an interior designer who says, I've got the exact things, the exact measurements and what you need in the house, they're going to find exactly the custom furniture they want when they go to Miller Furniture. Or if you're somebody who says, actually, I don't have an interior designer, no problem. All you have to do is go with your measurements, and their incredible staff of designers at Miller Furniture will help you find the right piece to the right scale for your home. Visit them today, one of their 4 locations, Belleville, Illinois, additional locations in Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis at the Meadow Shopping Center, and Ellisville off Manchester Road. Miller Furniture, that's MUELLER, furniture.com.
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
Summer doesn't officially end for another dozen days, and we're about to get a not-so-subtle reminder of that. Yeah, a warming trend begins today, runs right through the weekend. I've got us at 88 this afternoon with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Mostly clear tonight, down to 65 for the low early Thursday morning. We'll be close to 90 tomorrow afternoon under mostly sunny skies, and then Friday a little warmer at 92, and this weekend a little warmer, 95, both Saturday and Sunday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Beal Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
Hi, this is Stuart Rosenblum, president of Stewart's American Mortgage.
Stewie!
Mortgages are the biggest investment that a person's going to make in their life, yet most people don't know anything about it. Tune in for Mortgages and More with Stewie. That's me, where we can go over all the different types of mortgage programs in simple terms. You, me,
Stewie!
You'll become an expert after the first show.
Listen to Mortgages and More with Stewie, Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. on KTRS.
St. Louis Union Station is adding to the family fun with 3 new rides in the outdoor wheel park. The Flying Louie is a swashbuckling pirate-themed ride that swings to 42.5 feet. The Locomotion is a train-themed roller coaster in the wheel park, and the Wave Swinger is a classic swing ride modeled after the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. Plan your next visit to St. Louis Union Station to enjoy the new attractions with your family. For more info and tickets, go to stlouisunionstation.com.
Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
Yeah, they're on the med, and these medications are used, these GLP-1s, for reducing inflammation in your body. I get so many folks that are like, wow, I don't have the knee pain. I don't have the...
Because once you start losing weight, all these other things naturally happen to you in a positive way. Not just talk about the deals for KTRS listeners at stlmedweightloss.com.
All KTRS listeners, they get $50 to $100 off their first month. And what's beautiful about it too, hey, I get it. The economy, what we just had, guys, things are difficult right now, but we make the plan work for you. We have financing options. We make this work for you because we realize how important it is to get down in your weight, get your confidence back, and really start feeling like the old you.
Call STLMedWeightLoss.com and ask Dr. Joe. STLMedWeightLoss.com.
Ronald Reagan once famously said, "Government is not the solution, government is the problem." When it comes to economic growth, government can be a roadblock. With red tape, regulations, and subsidies, government stifles entrepreneurship and also props up businesses that deserve to go under. Unlike government, free markets encourage risk-taking, freedom to succeed or fail. Governments shouldn't be picking winners and losers, the market should. Free markets benefit the business owner and the customer by encouraging competition. Free market enabled a young man named J.C. Hall selling picture postcards in Kansas City to turn his idea into Hallmark cards. In St. Louis, the free market made it possible for Adolphus Busch to turn his father-in-law's local beer into the world's largest brewery. A free market also means you get to send your kids to the school of your choice. Learn more about free markets at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Got gold? Get green at Jewels on Hampton. Jewels on Hampton pays the most for your precious metals, jewelry, gems, currency, antiques, and collectibles. Jewels on Hampton buys precious and semi-precious gems and stones, scrap gold, and sterling silver. Jewels on Hampton buys and sells paper money, wristwatches, and pocket watches. They even take pianos and cars. To sum up, bring your gold chains, bracelets, rings, coins, dental gold, and more to Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton Avenue in St. Louis. And get green online at jewelsonhampton.com.
Good Supertramp as well. I know a lot of you guys like Nate Bargatze, and Connor, you were pointing out there's kind of a classic.
Well, I've got another one that I always think of with Nate.
It's too good. We have to play. I mean, obviously, it's on a serious subject, but there comes a time over time when his perspective on it helps us smile a little bit. Since Frank and I both laughed out loud, we thought we'd share it with you guys. And then what's the next as it goes on?
He goes on and says they gave him like a lantern to stand out there, and he said that would just make him a bigger target because it's a dark field. It's a good whole bit, but that's what I always think of with Nate Bargatze.
Yeah, he just is really really funny. Obviously not an overnight sensation. I know I've already mentioned her, but I think Leanne, whose name is escaping me, who's Morgan, also somebody who's been around for a long time, also from Tennessee, also doing this kind of just down-to-earth, clean comedy. It just really seems to have struck a nerve across all the division in our country. I know all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life and backgrounds that find both of them extremely funny.
You always wonder, like, where these comics, like, come from. How did they get there? I mean, he flunked out of, like, Western Kentucky, like, every class he took. He worked at a phone kiosk. I think he worked at Applebee's. And
he was
then
a meter reader.
Yeah. And then he went to Chicago and the Second City. And that's where it all started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
And, I'm from a very small town, and there was a guy that grew up, I think I babysat for him a few years behind us. And then he ended up at Second City and had a long career there, but he never, still to this day, he's really funny. And he has never quite been able to cross over. He participated and was part of the hilarious team there for many years, and he went out and he would open for other people, but he's just never quite been able to get over that hump. And I think that's true probably for thousands of really talented performers, just because the timing's not right, luck, all kinds of things.
Do you remember when Netflix, they had that series called The Stand-Ups, and it really gave like comedians a chance? I think that was one of his big breakthroughs too. And he's really kind of a normal guy, like one wife, one kid, and now he's worth $1 gazillion too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's been a good year. He even joked about that on Jimmy Kimmel last night, talking about the Emmys and how he hasn't really had time to practice for it because he's been out on the road. So he's like, I'm practicing in Denver, trying to make people laugh there. I'm sure it's very similar to the same thing. Food news here in St. Louis, a new bakery. It's a Scandinavian bakery that's been wildly popular as a pop-up down at the Tower Grove Park called Skald, S-K-A-L-D, is going to be opening in Lindenwood Park in the city in a kitchen culture spot that a lot of people drive down Watson, very, very close to Trattoria Marsala. Over there. And then Poshnosh. Have you ever had their Reuben?
Oh, yeah. Poshnosh, that is good stuff.
Love that place, but they're shuttering the Clayton location and moving 1 mile east to U City. They needed more space, both to do for the staff to cook what they wanted to cook, and they're going to add some things like some smash burgers that have been popular, but they can't do it all the time because of limited grill space. Moving to U City as well. I love Reuben. You know that. I talk about it a lot. Or Rachel, which is the turkey. So that's a favorite spot. Clayton guy, did you ever spend much time at Poshnosh?
Yeah, the little sandwich shop there. I liked it. I liked what did I get? The French dip. I think I used to get it from there. That was good.
Cafe Manhattan in Clayton used to be kind of a cool place. Is it still a happening place, Connor? Do you still have good food?
The full one I think is still around. Didn't it get bought out by someone to keep it open? Manhattan Express was what I used to go to. That had another French dip. I guess that was common theme, and that's no longer around. But that was great.
They used to have. It's kind of odd. You'd think at Cafe Manhattan, but they used to have really good toasted ravs. That I think they did the breading themselves. I don't know if they did the meat, but it was a real big one. And speaking of toasted ravs, tomorrow we're going to have Lombardo's in the house. Allison will be here, Allison Lombardo, and they have Lombardo's at Union Station, Lombardo's at the airport, and then they have the great steakhouse downtown, Carmine's. But in fact, I'm going to Lombardo's in a second this show ends at the airport because Laird Veach, the athletic director, is speaking to the Lombardo football trip.
And there's a couple of places in town that claim the birthplace of toasted ravs. And
including my grandma.
Okay. Oh boy.
Yes.
So there's at least 3 places that did, and Lombardo's is one of them. So we get to hear their version of that claim tomorrow as well. It'll be fun. What's coming up on the press box tonight?
Tonight, Andy Strickland and Charles Toon Edwards will be discussing a whole lot of nothing and breaking down all the sports stories in the region.
Do those guys? I think you guys are fun together. I guess you call it the slop, right?
Yes.
You make us laugh when we listen. Do you get a kick out of those guys, or do they drive you a little crazy, or both?
Well, not Andy, but Charlie, for sure.
He likes
a character.
To push your buttons, shall we say, for sure, which makes for good radio. I hope everybody sets their clock for that. Something else that is very good is our friend Ryan Raphael, the Medicare man. We hear often from listeners who say, I heard you guys talking about him. He's been You've been talking about him on the radio for a while, and then it turns out it's your turn, right? You're turning 65. You're going on Medicare, or it's happening to your really good friend or your coworker or your sister-in-law or somebody else in your life, and it feels great to be able to say, wait a second, don't walk into that season of life without having the best person on your team to help you make the best choice, and you're able to say, I know about him, I've heard about him on KTRS, and I know he's the best. That's Ryan Raphael, the Medicare man. He's just somebody, there's a lot of people in the world that know their stuff and know it well. There's not a lot of people in the world that can do a good job of explaining to the rest of us with simpler minds what we need to know that will help impact us and make the best decision possible in a situation that's going to impact us throughout our retirement era. And Ryan is very, very good at that. He even somebody as dense as me can understand it when he explains it to me. And I know you'll have a much easier time and really enjoy getting to learn from him. Best of all, his fees are paid by the insurance companies. It costs nothing for you to reach out to him, set up an appointment today. 314-368-6808 or visit MedicareManSTL.com.
Do you know why right now is the absolute best time to book your new patio or deck with my friends at Outdoor Living? Aside from being the best in town, these guys are really smart. They pay attention to market conditions, and they've stocked up on patio and deck supplies, including steel, all before these tariffs kicked in. So while their competitors' pricing has gone through the roof, prices have never been better at Outdoor Living. Now is the best time to call and book your summer job. Not to mention, these same competitors have sold out to large conglomerates and hedge funds. Pat Leahy and his team remain locally owned and operated, providing the best pricing and the best service in town. So, looking for a new deck or a new fence or anything outdoor? Outdoor Living, 314-966-DECK. That's 314-966-DECK. Or check them out online, Outdoor Living Inc., or check out their great showroom, Big Bend and I-44 in Kirkwood, OutdoorLivingInc.com.
St. Louis is home to more than 80,000 University of Missouri, St. Louis alumni, where they drive the region's economy and contribute to its social and cultural well-being. At UMSOL, more is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Have some fun with your friends while eating great food. Of course, I'm talking about the Village Bar, the only place to watch the big game while eating the world's best cheeseburger. There's a reason people have made this their favorite hangout for decades. The game's on, and so is the grill. We'll see you at the Village Bar.
The big, beautiful tax bill just passed. Do you know how these changes will affect your financial plan? What changes has your financial advisor made to take advantage of these opportunities before they expire? Join me, Kevin Lloyd, for my next tax workshop, 314-641-1010. Learn how these changes can benefit you and your family. 314-641-1010.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPLA, registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.
Is it time to make a change with your bank? Hi, it's Julie Buck for Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution with 2 locations, and they've been around since 2005 with a mission to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services. Here's their website. It's triadbanking.com.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you. BishopsPost.com.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
Kuna Food Service has been the trusted food supplier in the Midwest since 1918. For over 100 years, Kuna has been distributing the highest quality food products to some of your favorite restaurants while delivering superior customer service. That's why Kuna, they like to say they're big enough to handle it, yet small enough to care. Check them out online today at kunafoodservice.com.
You know, Frank, when you get to be a certain age, we start to pay a lot more attention to those stories that have to do with longevity. And we read those books about places like the Blue Zone, where people live to be 100 or, more people over the age of 80 than other parts of the world. Well, according to ABC News Australia, researchers who are studying the so-called oldest people in the world have done one of the most comprehensive studies about what they have in common. And it turns out it's not a very sexy answer. The one thing that they have in common, it's not really good genes, secret diets. It just comes down to paperwork. A lot of these super centenarians are actually just folks who had really well-kept records. They don't have anything else in common. They eat a huge variety of food. They have parents that died in their 40s or 50s. I mean, there's not that one magic bullet we're all hoping for, other than they can prove that they were born and have been here for a really long time. So I guess when you live well in past 100, it's just a matter of luck and being able to prove that you were born when you were born.
How late do you want to live to?
We've talked about it before, and I really do, I think, believe this from the bottom of my heart. I'm more interested in having a long health span than a long lifespan.
So go out at 80 if you're in good shape, as opposed to 90 if the last 10 years are terrible.
Yep, I want to be able to just live a vibrant life and do the things that matter to me, and so that's more important than how many years I'm ticking off on the calendar.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Do you think that's true too?
Yes, I just want to be around as long as possible to have an impact on the grandkids. So that's all I'm thinking.
Speaking of the grandkids, are you going to get any? I mean, last weekend you worked. I mean, you're on day 14 or 15 of working in a row. Are you going to have a little quality time this weekend?
I'm definitely going to get to see all three of them for sure. Yeah.
And how soon before you are batching it, before your bride takes off on her incredible trip?
Tomorrow I'm going to have to leave a few minutes early because I have to get her to the airport, because I really care about giving my spouse transportation to and from the airport, unlike somebody else in this room. And so she'll be leaving tomorrow at 12 o'clock sharp. So we're...
And then really quickly before we go, Reggie's feeling a little better. I know our listeners, yesterday you talked about the fact that he had been under the weather and it was kind of scary, but things are looking cautiously optimistic.
They've ruled out a spinal cord situation, which was kind of scary for a guy who jumps for a living, would have that. So they've ruled that out, and all I can say is when I greeted him yesterday at the vet, he was jumping and wagging. So we're starting to get more of the old Reg back, but not out of it yet. But we're hopeful.
And how about is he back to eating again?
Yeah, he's eating a little better, and he's on steroids now. So we'd like to see how he's going to do without it. But we think there's going to be a good ending here. So, all right, that'll do it for this edition of the program. Coming up next, John Carney, Julie Buck. We'll take a break, and we'll be back in 22 hours.
If you've been waiting to update your home, don't wait any longer, because Macy's Labor Day sale has our lowest prices of the season on everything, from our exclusive Radley sectional in so many fabric and leather options, to our beautifully crafted Headworth Queen bed, plus top mattress brands like Sealy and Beauty Rest for that new bed, all at 20 to 60% off, over half off. But don't wait any longer. Our lowest prices of the season won't last forever. Hurry into Macy's today. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you. BishopsPost.com.
News, weather, traffic, sports, and live local talk. This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Depend on it.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Poland is blasting Russia for violating its airspace with drones targeting Ukraine crossing into Polish territory. It led to NATO sending jets to shoot down those drones. ABC's Louis Martinez is at the Pentagon and says it marks a new escalation and comes just weeks after President Trump hosted Russia's leader at a summit in Alaska, making a push to get a ceasefire.
What happened last night was a historic action. This marked the first time ever that NATO aircraft were engaged in any kind of shoot down over one of its member countries, notably Poland. But what we are talking about are 10,000 American troops that are based in Poland. But it is a collective defense alliance. That is what NATO is. The United States obviously is a member of NATO. But no one is talking right now about any kind of U.S. military response or any U.S. military action.
Israel's strike in Qatar yesterday targeting Hamas leaders is being met with harsh criticism in the Middle East and around the world. ABC's James Longman is in Doha.
The strike causing international outcry. Qatar condemning the attack, calling it state terrorism and accusing Israel of sabotaging ceasefire talks. Israel says it was entirely justified, though Hamas called it a failure, claiming that none of its leaders were killed. Instead, they say